Take number real one.
Real one, okay.
Is it clear that we've never done this before?
I think it'll be one of those things that just we don't talk about the earlier episodes.
Right. So episode 1 is obviously we're gonna start our podcast off. Welcome to the podcast, right?
Yeah.
For episode 1, right? This is the beginning episode. I am your host, Aki.
Hi.
And you are also a host.
I'm also here, I guess.
What the fuck? This is gonna be a great podcast.
Oh, 100%.
Best podcast ever. Back to what I was doing was introductions. I am Aki.
And I'm Kris.
Yep. Yay.
Yay.
Okay, so episode 1 is we're starting the season 1 of our podcast out with Riverdale. Mm-hmm. We are going to be talking about, in this episode, we're going to be talking about episode 1, season 1. Just forewarning to anybody, there will be spoilers in this podcast because eventually we're going to be talking about good stuff. Currently, obviously, we're on episode 1, season 1, which aired, I believe, like 6 years ago now.
I think it was longer than that.
Was it? Should we Google it?
That's easy enough to do.
All right. When did Riverdale air?
The first episode aired on January 16, 2017. So yeah, 6 years ago.
Hell yeah, I'm so smart.
It feels like it's been longer, if I'm being honest with you.
You know what? I rewatched the episode, obviously, so that we could talk about episode 1 today, and I rewatched that first episode today, and I was like, I don't remember seeing any of this.
Oh yeah, no,
so long.
When you go back and you watch the first episode, it's almost like watching a completely different show.
It really is.
I do not feel like these are all the same characters that are now in like season 7 that have gone back in time with superpowers.
Right. So yeah, no, it felt so different. So just talking about episode 1. Mm-hmm. First of all, I want to point out,
yeah,
Jughead Jones narrates this entire series.
Yeah.
He was seen in episode 1 a total of twice. Once at the very beginning, that was like a very small, like, pan shot of him at Pops typing on his laptop. And then the last maybe 3 minutes of the episode where he had a total of like 5 lines.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was kind of just more of an artistic decision on their part. And for the record, he was seen 3 times. There was like a 2-second cut with him at the beginning with the camera, I guess, taking a picture of the crime scene or whatever. I don't know. They didn't really go into it.
Right. And they did also have him as technically, if you want to talk about weird cutscenes, he was also at the end when they found Jason's body. Yeah. Right. Everybody in the town was there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the idea was like you weren't supposed to know that was Jughead. And then I was like, oh shit, it was Jughead. Because I remember that's what I was feeling like when I first watched it.
When you first saw it 6 years ago, that was the feeling you had? I think, as a person who comes from loving Cole Sprouse, which I do, I have, like, a picture of Cole Sprouse from, like, Teen Beat magazine, Tiger Beat, or whatever the hell it was called. Definitely was obsessed with Cole Sprouse. So, like, I knew that he was Jughead going into it. But rewatching it, it did not occur to me that he was, like he was barely seen. I think I was just so excited for Riverdale when it first came out that I was just excited, right? You got Lily Reinhart, you do got, Archie and Veronica Betty, all the characters, the player characters that, like, when I went back and watched it, I was like, wow, I cannot believe I didn't notice the Jughead just like doesn't exist
in the first
episode. Like I don't know, like blocked it from my memory because I was just like, because he's so prominent in all the other ones, right?
Well, yeah, because like after that he becomes like actual screen time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, well, okay, so first episode things, noticing as I rewatch, right? As I rewatch, somebody who has seen the series, I stopped, just a quick thing, I stopped like just after post time skip. I don't think I even watched season 6. So, do you know where you stopped watching?
I stopped because I just started rewatching it again. Because it was still saved on my Netflix, so it remembers. It was the beginning of season 5.
Okay, so you just got to the beginning of season 5.
Yeah, I watched the first episode. I remember kind of why I stopped watching, or like, well, I think I always enjoyed watching it because like it's by the time season 4 hit, it was just so goofy. That it was just kind of like, it was just good old bad television, which isn't really a bad thing if we're being honest. Like shows like, you know, like this is like my Real Housewives, or you know,
the guilty
pleasure kind of show. Like this isn't top notch cinema, but it's entertaining.
Like yeah. Mm-hmm. I will say, like I did watch, I think, most of season 5 according to like my Netflix history on my cell phone. Mm-hmm. That I watched most, if not all, of season 5. I definitely did not get to season 6, which is the season before this season, and then obviously that's the season that I think has the superpowers and all the weird supernatural shit occurring. So
yeah, I missed all that. That's why I was like, when I first found out about it, I was like, what? I was like, that this can't be real.
Right. Yeah.
It's like this seems like they just gave up on the original concept and just.
This is when yeah. That's when I realized. Yeah. Time skip was really garbage. It sucked. But so back to the first episode.
Yeah.
I did not, like I said, going back, I completely forgot most of the episode. Forgot that what occurred was that Cheryl and Jason Blossom went out on the river.
Yeah. Holding hands. Again, fucking the whole fucking bombshell right there of like, what the hell was going on.
Right. You got the weird, almost incestual relationship already off the bat there.
Yeah.
I did not know that they went off on the river together, because then it said that he had fallen out of the boat. And knowing what we know, so spoilers to people, knowing what we do know, his father obviously shot him. Did his father save him from the river, shoot him, and then throw him back in the river?
I honestly can't remember. Well, because at the end of the episode, they when Kevin and Moose are about to, you know, go skinny dipping, they find him and then
with
they, like,
the gunshot, right?
With the bullet, yeah, with a very clear bullet hole in his head.
And obviously we do have the sideline story of Archie and Miss Grundy, who heard
I
the
forgot
bullet.
about that, and it was like, right, they did this, and it was like, I remember like fucking watching it, like, holy shit, like. It was like the hottest version of Miss Grundy yet.
Right. Well, yeah, I would. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a CW show. All the characters are hot, unless they're not important.
And even then, they're not really that ugly looking either.
Yeah, that too. I'm just saying, like, you know, there's some very some characters that get like swept under the group that are kind of more portrayed to be not as good looking, I guess would be the way of putting it.
Yeah. You've got, I remember the Grundy Archie love interest thing. I just want to know why. Like, I know why it plays a somewhat decent role. I think this is just a CW problem. That they always have to do some weird reason why you're keeping a secret.
Yeah.
Like Archie could have just heard that gunshot on his own.
Yeah, he doesn't have to. Yeah.
But he needed to sleep with the teacher. And not only did he sleep with the teacher, but, that was another thing. They really started out Riverdale with the High School Musical level issues, right?
Yeah, like these were like normal ass fucking like issues actual like teenager would have. You've got like Betty's like crushing on Archie, and newsflash, Archie's hot now.
Oh yeah, can't forget. Holy shit, Archie's hot now. It's kind of funny because like I know that KJ Apa is a very attractive man. Mm-hmm. I kind of want to know what Archie looked like post or pre summer vacation.
I forgot. It's like I guess like before the summer happened, he was not hot. Right. And also I guess last year also Betty was fat.
Right, or fat enough that Cheryl wouldn't let her on the Cheerios. Well, first of all,
Cheryl wouldn't let her on the team because the character of Cheryl is just really, really a big old bee.
Right. And it was mentioned, like Betty mentioned to Veronica when they first bring up them trying out for the Cheerios that she wanted. I keep saying Cheerios. That's the wrong. I'm over here.
Cheryl.
The Vixens. I keep saying Cheerios, and my brain's just like, no, we're not doing Glee yet.
God, I'm gonna have to watch Glee later. Okay.
I will make you watch Glee for later seasons of this podcast, no cap, because that's another one that started out at least somewhat strong and then completely turned into no.
Did they gain superpowers in Glee?
No, but the lead singers of like some of the leads in Glee went on to play Supergirl and the Flash 4 CW shows.
Oh, well, then there you go.
And then inevitably had musical episodes, because what is a CW show without a musical episode?
Yeah. All right.
But,
anyways.
Yeah, sorry. I keep saying Cheerios, not what I meant. But the Vixens, she did mention that she tried out for the Vixens, and that she was told that she was too fat the first time around. The second time I know was definitely because of the whole Jason Polly situation, which I definitely think that we also need to talk about. Mm-hmm. But what the heck do you call it? But that first time she tried out for the Vixens, she was told that she was way too fat, and I want to know. Like, is it that she was just too fat because Cheryl's a bitch, or is it because she was
like actually
chunkier?
Knowing Cheryl, it probably could have just been the former.
It probably could have. It probably was. I think the line that caught me off guard with that when I was rewatching was like Veronica trying to make her feel better and just being like, well, you're a total bombshell now. And it's like, you also weren't here last summer.
Yeah. Like, and also, I know it's speaking of something that just completely caught me off guard, and I was like, well, why? Was if we're going back to that first cheerleading tryouts, after their routine, when Cheryl wasn't like impressed, like, show me the fire, show me like your moves or whatever, right. And freaking Veronica's like big idea is, let's make out.
Let's make out.
It's like, I'm thinking, what the hell does this have to do with cheerleading?
And it's really funny because I will say I love this part in that writing for that first episode because they got away with like a couple things with that. Was one,
they get away with a lot.
Well, yeah, but I meant in the episode for them making out, they got the weird the shippers who might have just shipped Betty and Veronica together. They got that little taste, right? Yeah. Which is also really funny because I do not believe anywhere else in the series entirety does that ever happen again.
Yeah, I think it happens one more time, actually, if I remember.
In the hot tub scene?
No, it's not in this. It's in a different season. It's like in season 2 or 3. When they go out to like Veronica's cabin, and they're talking about like, people who have kissed each other, and I guess they forgot, and they might have forgotten about it, and then Betty and Veronica kiss each other because why not? And then they're like, oh, now it's your, and then tells Latrice to like Jughead and
Veronica
and no Jughead and Archie is like, now it's your guys' turn, and they're like, nah, and they just like walk away.
Oh, okay. I remember that is the hot tub scene. I do remember. Oh, we're thinking of two different hot tub scenes. Sorry. I think I know when I said hot tub scene, what scene you were thinking about. Not that scene, but yeah. I want to say though, because I want to say that Veronica didn't kiss Jughead, so I feel like that happened. I want to know, but yeah, something that we're definitely gonna have to.
It might have.
We're gonna have to rewatch, and it'll be funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they made out. And they got away with like the people who were like, oh, I actually ship Betty and Veronica, best girlfriends turn real girlfriends representation. So they got away with like a little bit of a smidgen of that, getting those people like what they want without fully committing. And then we also got the good funny snapback, which was Cheryl actually being like, faux lesbian lovers was so 1994.
Yeah, I know. It was like, that's the funny thing, because I feel like at this point they didn't know, because here's the thing, I fully believe the writers never have any idea what to do with Cheryl.
No, they don't.
And so, which is why I'm sorry, like apologies to Madeline Pesch. I'm sure she's a terrific person, and she's a decent actor who does the best with what she can, but my god, like the writing, the lines that she has to deliver sometimes are just horrible.
Right.
Like, and it's just so polarizing. Like every season it feels like she's a completely different character.
And it's like it is so bad, because she not only does she change every season, but I have noticed that like sometimes she changes within episodes. Like even just this first episode, right? The first time we fully meet Cheryl, aside from like the little snippets where Jughead is narrating and she like responds and she's like, JJ is gone, other than those little snippets, the first time we actually see Cheryl is at that very first like assembly where she is talking about how Jason would want them to still have the welcome back dance, right? Yeah. And she sounds so, not only like still mourning her brother's loss, which, side note, I will say, this is an American school system. Now, you're Canadian, so I'm not sure how Canadian school systems work.
Yeah.
We fucking start school in like mid to late August, which means that she's been mourning now for over a month. Okay, if Jason died on July 4th, right?
Yeah.
At the time that the school's back to school assembly starts, which is another weird thing, because typically schools don't do dances to come back to school. It's usually homecoming. And if I think about homecoming, that actually doesn't happen until September or October. So we're looking at a very strange and skewed timeline for these writers to write school activities into.
That's very interesting. Because I didn't know that, because here in Canada we start, well, at least in my experience, we start school in early, like pretty much right after Labor Day.
When's Labor Day?
It's the first Monday of September.
Okay, yeah, so that's even later.
Yeah.
See, yeah, and
so I thought that was always the case. So I thought, okay, so she had pretty much all of July and all of August, and don't get me wrong, 2 months is probably isn't a whole lot of time, especially if you're mourning like a close like loved one. Right. So let's still give her like, so regardless of when it started, like we'll give her that.
I will say, yeah, no, like here's the thing is like I will say, like, I know, like, losing a close loved one. I've never lost a sibling. Personally, I've lost, aunts and uncles and, grandparents and whatnot. I've lost school friends, right? That I've hurt. I've never lost a sibling, so I don't really know. Plus, she had that really weird incestual relationship with him. The only thing that like does throw me off, like I said, is she does have over a month of mourning. So when she comes into the school and does that first thing, it's kind of known. It shows, right, that she had time to mourn, and that she's come back to school. She is very much like, you know, my brother wouldn't want this, and I do miss him dearly, but I've convinced the school not to cancel our dance, right? Which is a really, it like shows her as like that character who is soft, and yeah, she might be a bitch, but like she's not like, you know, she has feelings and she's had time to mourn, but she's slowly coming past it. And then like the next time we see Cheryl, she is like very uppity, happy, you know, introducing herself to Veronica, introducing her, or, you know, talking to Betty. And then the next time we see her, she's a crazy fucking cunt. And then we see her again, and she invites them to like their party, or she wants to invite them to the after party because she wants to do evil deeds. And it's like, okay, you've gone through like 7 personalities in one episode. This is just episode 1.
Yeah. I mean, the crazy thing is, I don't think they ever actually like did a plot line where like she was
sane.
Perhaps I meant like where they maybe dived into the possibility that maybe she had a multiple personality disorder. That feels like it'd be right up this show's alley, but I guess they decided not to do that. They were too busy with serial killer genes and keeping corpses in townhouses.
Right. And like that's another thing too, is that like on the idea of writing Cheryl as a bad character, like we said, Madeleine Pesch is a great actress, and she also has a YouTube channel that I used to watch aggressively. She's a really good actress playing a really horribly written character.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, they never delved into dissociative identity disorder, which is something that they totally could have done with Cheryl's character, given her trauma and all of the things that she's had to put up with. They never did that. What they did do is compare her to Carrie, make her start a cult, and they gave her like, I feel like they gave her all of the like ingredients to make a character who is going through some mental shit, and instead of committing to those ingredients, instead of making that cake, they instead just pulled back at the very end and was like, nope, Cheryl's okay now. Nope, Cheryl's sane. Nope, Cheryl's a hero. And it's like, no, Cheryl's misguided, and Cheryl's having some problems, and she definitely needs a hug and some therapy.
Like, a slap in the face.
Right.
It's like again, like it's the character is, I don't know, and it's me personally, because I know there's lots of people that like the Cheryl Blossom character. Personally, I'm not one of them. Just because for me, she just comes off as just so unlikable. And if that's like you can have like characters that are like mean and stuff, but they can still be like, people can still like them. Like, you know, people like villains and stuff like that. Right. Cheryl's just sometimes just mean for the sake of being mean.
Yeah, she's yikes.
And it doesn't add anything. It's just mean.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So while watching, I had an epiphany.
Oh yeah.
Of why I became such a big Bughead fan, despite not seeing Jughead throughout the entire first episode. It's from the moment that I met Archibald Andrews that I decided that he was the worst character in this show. Now, I know that we're talking about Cheryl being the worst written character, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't like Archie's writing, and I met KJ Appa, very nice dude. I just don't like the character that he played. Archie is just so one-dimensional. So
I mean, I definitely can see that.
It's like I guess like it's kind of like two sides of the same coin, right? Or two incredibly opposite ends of the spectrum, because you've got like we said, Cheryl, who's got like everything wrong, right? And then you've got Archie, and his biggest issue as of episode 1 is that he slept with his teacher,
which is a pretty big oof. That's a pretty big.
Can I be horribly honest about how oof that is?
Yeah,
it's not that uncommon for United States kids.
Well, sorry for being a precious little Canadian boy, blind to all the horrible muppetes of the USA. All right.
I'm gonna Google some statistics real quick.
I don't want to. Oh God, and I could be even wrong, but all I know is that during my entire high school experience, I never heard once of a rumor of any student sleeping with a teacher.
Oh my
until
God!
After I got out of the high school, and I think it ended up being fake, anyways.
Well, I will say I did not hear about any student-teacher relations in my high school while I was attending, but the year after I left, the year after I graduated, it was true that a teacher was having a long-term sexual relationship with one of his students / one of the girls on the volleyball team that he coached. And he was a math teacher that was literally right next to my house. My high school, one of our high schools was right next to my house. And he worked at that high school. And so he got fired, obviously, that after they found out, but it had been going on. I think the article said it had been going on for 8 to 9 months of continuous relations with this sophomore student to our teacher. And I was like, wow, yikes. Gross. Also, just I pulled up some statistics. Nationwide, about 10% of all students experience sexual misconduct by a school employee sometime between kindergarten and the time they graduate from high school. So that is all through K through 12, kindergarten through the senior year of high school. So about 10% of students experience that between those years, which doesn't sound like a huge statistic, but is definitely a lot bigger than what you'd want it to be. So yeah, it's not that, it is not like that uncommon for a student to be sleeping with his teacher. So I will say it is oof. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, go Archie. Like it's still gross. But like I said, like when you're coming from the place of knowledge that I do have as an American watching American television, it's like right?
Okay, fair enough.
Not as like attention grabbing. The biggest attention grabbing item that he has is that he heard that gunshot, and that is like his whole pull. That's not it's a lie. It's not his whole pull for the whole episode. That's half of his pull for the whole episode. The other half of his pull, his motivation for the episode, is the High School Musical plot line, which is that he wants to join the football team and pursue music, and he's really serious about pursuing music.
Yeah.
So he wants to pursue music and football and
not disappoint his dad.
And not disappoint his father. Which is literally the plot line of High School Musical.
Yeah. I will say though, little side note, I was very sad when I saw Luke Perry, man.
Oh my god.
And I was like, fuck, man, I forgot you were like
Dad
like
of the
one
year.
of like the handful of people that was like actually good on this show.
Oh my god.
And like even like his big sort of end speech was like, man, that's like so good. Like when he was talking about like, look, man, and I'm paraphrasing because I should have wrote it down, but it's like, you know, he at the end when Archie's like, I'm not sure what I want to do, is like, it's because he told his football coach he wasn't going to play for varsity, and he told his dad he wasn't going to help work for him, and he's like, Dad, I don't want to work for you, and I don't know what, like, you know, like this or whatever. And his dad's his Fred Andrews is even like he's upset, mad, but he's not mad because like he doesn't want to work for him. He's mad because he felt this need to lie to him, and he's like, look, whatever you decide to do, you should be confident enough that you shouldn't have to lie about it. And I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Like, damn, that's good dad advice.
I wish my dad gave me that advice.
Yeah.
For real, like, Fred Andrews is like probably the one like single most like top of the tier list of characters that they actually wrote decently.
Yeah.
And I almost have a half a mind to say that it wasn't even the writer's choice. I have half a mind to say that Luke Perry just went in there and said, you know what? I'm playing the role of a dad. I got it. Right?
I'm gonna do the dad stuff.
I'm gonna do the dad stuff. Because he's so good. And I agree. When I saw Luke Perry for the first time on screen, rewatching now since he is unfortunately passed, that shit was like, oh my heart. Because he was written as he was a good character. And Luke Perry was another person that I got to meet at Riverdale convention fucking 5 years ago now. It was right before he died, actually. And Luke Perry was a phenomenal actor and was very down to earth, and just like that is kind of like his personality. So like I said, I feel like he walked into that scene and was like, I'm a dad now. I am playing the role of Archie's father, and I, as a father, would talk to my son like this. And I feel like that really played into his character a lot. And that's not like a stab at any of the other actors. A lot of the actors are somewhat new to like being, I guess, the famous side, right? Like you've got Kevin, who I've never seen in anything other than Riverdale, period.
Yeah. I can honestly say for most of the people there, this is the first time I've seen them. And like, then that's fine. Like that's usually how it kind of goes with like CW shows. It's like, it's not like they're gonna get like Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks.
And not only that, but like, I mean, usually, like I will say, I feel bad for the cast of Riverdale because I feel like the CW let them down. Because there are some shows on the CW where,
and like consistently good.
And well, like they pave the way for some of these actors, right? Like, like if you met, or not met, but like if you Google, God, for the life of me, I can't remember his name. Because I never remember his actual name. I just remember his character names. If you like Googled Grant Gustin, you would not know that he was from Glee.
No, I was very surprised when I heard that. Yeah,
he is like the Flash. He became so much bigger after being on the Flash, even though he was like a major player in like season 2 and 3 of Glee. Like,
well, it says here he's only in 7 episodes.
Of Glee?
But I guess he was of Glee, yeah.
No, he was. I mean, well, but he was important. 7 episodes.
He was important at those ones, yeah.
Those 7 episodes were like him. Like he was in the Michael Jackson episode, which is arguably one of the most popular episodes of Glee. Right? So if you were to Google him, you would not just sit there and be like, oh, that's the guy from Glee. You would be like, oh, that's the Flash. And the CW did that for like so many actors, not even just the ones who already had roles in other shows, but like a lot of actors in general. And like, I won't lie, Riverdale did get me onto, following Lily Reinhart and Cami Mendes. So it's like they do that thing where they allow you to be more famous. They do pick out, hot, but they pick out, unknown or lesser known actors and kind of do that. But I feel like Riverdale as a whole, failed these actors. I feel like I would not want this on my resume as an actor. Someone's gonna go back and watch season 6 of Riverdale and be like, that's your work? Okay.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, we can always hope for it to be better. But yeah,
right.
It's, at the very least, it was probably a decent paycheck for at least the time, and
that's true.
I mean, for a little while there, especially during the middle kind of you have to remember, for season 1 and 2, it was very, very big. They were top of the world. So it was only after the fact that it got so.
That's true. It was pretty.
They were, because I remember on season 1, it was everyone was talking about it, and they were on on every single talk show, and
right.
There was references and parodies and stuff.
Oh my god, I spent months watching Riverdale crack. Those crack YouTube videos where people will clip different things together or do voiceovers. Yeah. I would watch Riverdale crack all the time during seasons 1 and 2. They were so popular. They were very big when they first came out. I know I was really excited for Riverdale. I don't remember any of the. It was so long ago now. I don't remember much of the previews / marketing material that they did pre-release, but I do remember them being huge, which is part of the reason why Riverdale Con existed, right? It only existed the 1 year, I think. And they were so big that they got Riverdale Con. They got Luke Perry and Cole Sprouse and KJ Appa and everybody was there. I'm trying to remember. The guy who plays Reggie, not episode 1, not season 1 Reggie, or not pilot Reggie, the other Reggie.
The other Reggie was Charles Melton.
Charles Melton, yeah. So he was at that convention. They were so big that they were selling these convention tickets. I don't remember my pricing because I actually got a secretive friends and family discount. But those tickets, I remember just for a photo of KJ Appa and Cole Sprouse cost me $150 or $200.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, they were big, and they did the interviews and stuff, and I had a lot of fun going to that. So they were really big when they first came out. But yeah. So yeah, back to the episode though. They have their dance. Betty's doing the typical girl next door thing. I actually don't think that there's a lot to talk about Betty in this episode, other than the fact that they already played into Dark Betty in episode 1.
A little bit, yeah, with the cheerleader, and that her mother is an overbearing, crazy person.
Yeah, and
who, which is funny because what happens in season 6 and stuff, has basically disowned most of her children except for Betty.
Right.
Because you don't hear about her brother, and this is back when I'm blanking on her name. Holly is in the home.
Yeah.
And basically she was like, your sister is a lost cause.
Not only that, but we do get that little snippet where Betty talks about how her mom broke Polly, right? Yeah. Where it was and obviously in episode 1 we don't learn anything about Polly other than the fact that she is in the home, that she dated Jason, and that it did not end well and things got weird and toxic, and that when she turned to her family, her mother disowned her and sent her off to a group home psychiatric facility, which actually ends up playing like a really big part in future seasons. The psychiatric facility, I did not expect it to be such a big deal. And yeah, so like episode 1, we learned nothing about Polly. She doesn't fucking, like, she exists, but not as a character yet. She exists as an entity, and basically that's just used to fuel the backstory for Betty being slightly more than just the typical girl next door crushing on Archie and not being able to tell him that she loves him until, you know, she tells him that she loves him. And that's like a whole nother thing. I realized, like I said, I hate Archie. He made this really, I will say the monologue was great. He makes a monologue to Betty at the end of the episode. She runs home because he had just made out with Veronica at a party. And so she runs home, she's crying. He meets her at the front door, and she tells him, you know, I love you. And she's like, do you love me? Do you even like me? And in his fucking response, and I think that's why I got so mad at him as a character, his response is, of course I love you, but I can't give you the answer that you want right now. And it's like, no, don't say that. Because if you can't give her the answer that she wants, which is that you love her.
You love her, which you just said.
Which you just said. You love her.
It never ceases to go like, you're too perfect for me, Betty. I'm not good enough for you, which is
right.
like,
and that puts the blame. That's so toxic. That puts the blame on her for being a good student and
you're
a caring
too good for
person. That's such shit.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man. I heard that monologue and I was like,
I mean, you can really tell just like from episode 1 that they were like, yeah, we're gonna go the Archie and Veronica route, and we're gonna because I think at that point was Lily and Cole dating.
Not yet. They did not start dating until I want to say mid-season 1.
Maybe that's when they made the decision.
That's when they made. I think that's when they made the decision, because they had them. Because what had happened was that, you know, seeping into like episodes 2, 3, and 4, I believe is when it kind of started. They had these like things where you know, Betty and Jughead, you know, meet and they start doing more stuff together, and I think that's like kind of when their actual relationship sort of blossomed, is because they're spending so much time on screen and then inevitably time off screen that it kind of created that thing. And I think that's like when the writers were like, y'all got such good chemistry, take it. But yeah, they really did plan to kind of like shut Betty out in that first episode. They made it very obvious that Archie ignored her so much at Pop's that first night. After he got home, she literally tried to say it. She's like, oh, you know, blah blah blah, and it just turned off because he is looking at Veronica.
Yep.
And then, you know, she brings up the whole, I kind of had this thought that maybe we could be a power couple or maybe just a couple. And he's like, he basically shuts her down there. And she's like, yikes, never mind, because he's too busy, you know, fawning over Miss Grundy, which is another thing that I thought was, I guess maybe that's just, correct me if I'm wrong, male brain? Do you just like two chicks at once? I don't.
If you believe a lot of the people might work, yes.
Okay.
That's a lot of, you know, again, first of all, not every guy is like that. Every single human being is different in their own fun and unique way. But yeah, no, there's definitely people that are like that. I had like a guy at work who's just like, who talks about like, yeah, I have a girlfriend, but I'm seeing like other people and stuff like that. I'm like, why? It's like, well, it's like, I don't know. It's just, why would I tie myself down? It's like, because you have a fucking girlfriend. look, I don't know. Like, and here's the thing. I highly doubt he's the kind of guy that probably talked about an open relationship, because he probably would have let on with that, or I don't know. He also could just be lying. I don't fucking know.
Like, I will say, like, I do know. I think this is what kind of throws me off about the Archie love rhombus that's going on currently, I guess, as of episode 1, is like, I've had feelings for another person whilst dating a person. But these feelings came from like a place of like closeness and understanding, and actually like fully liking a person for who they are. And I feel like Archie does that once again, very one-dimensional character. He does that thing where he's like, I'm fucking Miss Grundy. I mean, they might have had like real dates over the summer that like.
I think they might have. I think that was like kind of, well, because like the two interactions we know of as of season 1 episode 1 is that they had hot sex in the car, and then at 6 a.m. they had a picnic.
I forgot that it was at 6 o'clock in the fucking morning. That's a whole thing that we never even talked. That's 6 o'clock.
Oh, I remembered it, but like, I don't fucking know. Like, yeah, they were. I mean, here's the thing. I guess I understand why it would be early, was because they're doing something they're not supposed to. So do it in the hours that most people, I guess, aren't awake or around. I mean, but it's so silly.
It is. It's just 6 o'clock in the morning. Let's go for a picnic.
Let's go for a picnic.
I love that. So yeah, like what I was gonna say though is, so like I know the feeling of potentially liking two people at one time. What gets me fucked up is that even if he had a somewhat real hot summer fling with Miss Grundy, in the sense that they were having a picnic at 6 a.m. He definitely did not have any connection to Veronica at that point.
Nope.
Like, he definitely just saw her walk into Pops and decided, yes, female. And I think that, like, that throws me off so much, because I'm like, that's unrealistic. Like, I get the whole idea of love at first sight. I don't believe that it's real. I don't think that you can look at a person at face value and just be like, you are my forever person, or even my remotely a decent amount of time person. I don't see it. I don't think that. And like, they definitely wrote him like that. It's like, oof.
If I may interject, like, it's I think the whole love at first sight thing is kind of a little bit of a stretch, just for the movies. But I don't know, you can look at somebody like, for the first time and be like, kind of like, wow. And it's totally face value. It's, it's going to be like 99% like physical, and it could all go screaming out the window if, like, it's like, wow, hey, how are you? And then they're like, hi, I'm a huge transphobe and I eat babies. Like, yeah, nope.
Right. Sorry, it got me fucked up. I was like, let me agree with you, and then I realized my brain clicked on what you said.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like, it is, like, it's true. Like, I'm not gonna lie and say that, like, looking at face value doesn't help. Right? So, like, I guess that's kind of like what happened with Archie, is that he saw Veronica and he was like, this bitch is hot as fuck. And then, he did get a minor chance at a couple of conversations with her, in which, he has that half conversation where she's like, hey, you're coming with us to the to the dance or whatever. And also I'm gonna go to, that was another thing. I laughed so hard at Betty's reaction in Pops when Archie is This might be coming from a place of somebody who has at least seen up to the graduation, right?
Yeah.
Once again, spoilers here. Archie doesn't graduate. Or he does, but it takes him joining the fucking army to do so.
Yeah.
So it was very funny to me in that first interaction with Veronica and Archie at Pops, where she makes a comment about two different books.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I am this, or maybe they're movies. Maybe it makes more sense in my head. Because I remember her bringing up Breakfast at Tiffany's, which I know is a movie, but I also thought it was a book. Am I wrong?
As someone who hasn't seen or read either,
I'm gonna look it up real quick. Just maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
it's a film and a novella. It's a novel and a film.
It's a novel. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah,
it's also a '60s film. So
right, and that's another thing.
What
they did do this thing where Riverdale, it's not a town that has aged.
Yeah,
but it's still aged. Like they talk about being millennials in the very first episode. Kevin mentions being a millennial, and obviously they all have cell phones. It is obvious cell phone usage. Mm-hmm. But every part about this town screams, like you said, 60s, 70s maybe era, early 70s, where it's like, obviously you still have Pop's Chocolate Shop, which is not gotten an update. It looks just as retro as a fucking, and this is an American reference, as a Portillo's does down here. And then you've also got
that's fair. That's sorry, I was gonna say it's fair if it's like establishments and stuff like that, or that's part of the charm. But it's like what I'm talking about is like when they're like trying to figure things out, or they're at home and they have like a TV straight out from the 70s. Right,
that's what I was gonna say. And they mentioned this also with the school, that it didn't receive an update since it was established, right? She made a joke about that. And then like you said, even their homes, as pretty-ish as they seem, from the outside, or more modernized from the outside as they seem, nobody has like a flat screen TV or you know what I mean, or like a fucking, even for the sake of stupidity, nobody has like an iHome, right? Or an Alexa device, right? Nobody's got any of like the stuff that you would see in a home of middle to upper class in the 2000s, 2010 era, right? What we see is old, established, like antique furniture, and I think Archie's house gives off a rustic vibe, which I think obviously plays into how Fred Andrews as a character is. So I don't really blame that house. But then we go into Betty's house, right? And Betty's house, I think, is honestly probably, aside from Veronica's, who I kind of put a different vein because they're rich and their house is furnished for them. Betty's house is probably the most I don't know, modern, and even her house has very retro, like you said, this TV straight out of the freaking 80s or something. It's not a large TV, not a flat screen in sight, which I think is pretty common for people to have nowadays, is a flat screen television somewhere, whether it be mounted or on a stand. It's just nope, they don't have that there. And it's they never even use it to establish tourists or whatever, that it's oh, this is a small town and we like to make it feel comfortable, or whatever, something like that. They just are trapped in the 60s, but with cell phones. And they talk like that too. The way Veronica talks, even though she's from New York, and now granted, I know it's upper Eastern New York, right? She's clearly from Manhattan or somewhere socialite, whatever. But like,
yeah, she's not from the Bronx.
Yeah, she's not from the Bronx, but like, she's still from New York in the 2015, 2016 range, right? Mm-hmm. Like, she's not like living in a place where she would talk the way that she talks about certain things. And it's like, did they establish this timeline, or are we just trapped here? And I guess ironically, the answer falls in season 7, right? Like, I'm guessing.
Well, at least with season 7, they finally clarified what year it was.
Right. They did indeed. We're like, by the way, y'all are in the 1950s. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit. It's something. But yeah, so at first, what are your thoughts? First episode as a whole. Going back and rewatching after losing the hype, right? Mm-hmm. And then obviously rewatching, nitpicks aside, you liked it.
Overall, yeah, I liked it. It was like, if there was a reason why everybody fell so hard for this show, especially in season 1, is especially when you know what's going to happen. Everything just feels more grounded, and while it is a little silly, like there's definitely some things that are kind of like, why did you do it? Like the whole kissing, fucking Veronica and Betty kissing for it's realistically no reason,
right?
And or like how Kevin is like quite literally at that point just literally even like just say just the gay friend.
Oh, that was even a line. Yes.
Yeah, it was even a line that I think Cheryl said.
Veronica.
Oh, Veronica? Mm-hmm. Oh, what's it? Somebody said it, yeah.
She's like, Betty's like, oh, this is Kevin Keller. And she goes, gay.
Yeah, thank God.
Thank God. Let's be best friends.
Yeah.
I yiked at that.
I will say that, eventually he gets some more character for better or for worse. But the nitpicks and stuff aside, it was very, I think, very well done. It set up a lot of drama. The who shot
Jason.
Oh my, Jason, yeah. I don't know why I keep blanking on people's names, man. I should have made a list. Okay. The whole who shot Jason mystery was actually really good.
Yeah.
And otherwise, I if I didn't know about the last 5 seasons that would happen, I would always recommend the show.
Right. Yeah. No, I did like the first episode as a whole. Obviously nitpicking little details aside, the first episode did what it set out to do. Mm-hmm. It captured the audience. It gave you the mystery that the whole season was going to be about. Mm-hmm. And it allowed you to meet all of the characters in varying circumstances too. Like, it's not just like you here's the character and then here's the character and then here's the character. It was here's the character and here's what they are kind of like, and here's how they play into this character, and here's how that character plays into this character, and it kind of like allowed you to digest it, I think, a little bit easier. I've seen a lot of shows where people are just like, here's so-and-so, here's so-and-so, here's another person, and it's like, I'm not gonna remember these fucking names. And now granted, I still don't remember their names all that well, like now, but for like a first episode, it set out exactly what it was supposed to do, and it is very good. It's very funny, and it's nice to like have like a little chuckle or even like a little cringe, right, at the gay best friend comment, or maybe the fact that moose is actually the size of a horse. That was a comment that Kevin said. It's good to have a little bit of a cringe moment, a little bit of haha time, and I think all in all, the episode was worth it.
Yeah.
which is, it's like really sad. It's like really funny. It's like, it's going to be one of those shows where you tell people like, watch season 1 and 2 and then never look back.
I would even say, watch the first episode, watch the first season, pretend it's a mini series,
right?
And then just
like
go on.
I guess if you took each season as its own, that's a good way to put it. Actually, it's a good way to like start viewing it, because if you took each season not as a cohesive piece, not as a cohesive show, but sort of like a Black Mirror situation. Not episodic in the sense that like every episode of Black Mirror is a different short story, but if you took each season as like a short story where it's like, this is what could happen and this is what could happen, and you told people to like watch it that way, I'm pretty sure maybe even seasons 3 through 7 wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah.
I think what made it bad was that they tried to, like you said, they made it into a cohesive piece where like obviously the last episode of season 1 plays into the first episode of season 2.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that continuous loop. Even when the series gets bad, it's that continuous loop. But if you really were just like, you know what, just watch them separately. I still think season 4 will be garbage regardless. Just because.
Yeah.
Well, I do understand season 3 because of our affiliation with Dungeons and Dragons. I get that, but season 4, Archie fights a bear, so I think I've got you beat.
Yeah, no, that's right. You're right.
I think I've got you beat.
See, season. Look, like I guess the way of putting good way of putting it is that season 3 was just like was really, really bad because it just felt so kind of out of left field, and it was like kind of like the beginning of the really, really ridiculous. And then season 4 was just like they just committed to it.
Right.
Like I will say that the stupidest plot line they've ever had, and it was so bad that I feel like they completely tried to retcon season 3 out of existence, was the whole Griffins and Gargoyles and the farm, I think is what they were called, the cult.
That was the first cult, yes.
The first cult, yeah, the farm.
The first cult. The fact that we have to say the first cult is already a red flag.
Yeah, it's already a bit of a red flag. But like after season 3, it was like what, like episode 4 or something in season 4 or something, where it's like, yeah, we're just gonna we're just gonna completely kill that whole thing off, because like it ended up with like a shootout on a fucking roof with the leader of the cult trying to escape Earth from a homemade rocket ship.
Right.
Because he was supposed to, which also is like, I thought this guy was supposed to be like charismatic,
yeah,
charismatic and intelligent, and then his big idea was to escape the planet Earth via a rocket ship that he made.
Riverdale stuff will be we'll start splitting it off into two more episodes for this first season. We'll knock it out, and then that way we can talk about more than just one episode, because I feel like we're gonna suck with the talking about just one episode thing.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because there's a lot to talk about, and one episode is not it. It's a learning curve, but yeah, this will be fun. I think this is gonna be good. I liked it. I enjoyed our talk. If nobody else listens to our podcast, I will. But yeah, no, that was episode 1. I think, we've been talking for an hour and 18. After cuts, it's probably going to be maybe like 40 something minutes of talking about Riverdale. So that's a decent podcast time.